Hello and welcome to episode 71 of Heating Up the UK, a Miami Heat's UK based podcast. I am your host, Dan Healy. Before we come on to today's episode, if you're listening to for the first time, thank you for joining us. Where have you been? No, we've been doing this for about 2 years, but you can find us on your favourite podcast app. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the usuals. And if you enjoy the show, which I'm sure you do, please do us a big favour and hit a 5-star rating. It will help us out a lot. Also, be sure to bookmark our website, www.miamiheatuk.com. It is about to overgo quite a large revamp. We've got a new contributor over here, Ben Moore, who's going to be taking care of that from now onwards. He's currently in the on the way forward with overhauling it. Always going to be looking after the content, so that is the place to go. Bookmark it because it's going to have blog articles. All of our live streams are going to go on there. The podcast episodes are going to be on there. Fun and games are going to go on there. It's going to be good stuff. So please bookmark miamiheatuk.com. On to today's episode. And about a month ago, we did this. It was a round table Miami Heat discussion. It was a lot of fun for us. We all got to ask one question each, and then the other guys would all answer. It was loads of fun, and it was very well received by you guys, the listeners. So we thought, let's do it again. All-star break, bit of content out there. Let's introduce the same cast as last time. I've got Olly Rahimi, Glenn Smith, and Bilal Monar with me. Olly Rahimi, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Thank you. Looking forward to it. It was good fun last time, so hopefully this will be the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it too. Glenn Smith, you're looking good. How are you, sir?
Appreciate it. Doing well, my friend. Have you enjoyed your weekend?
Yes, I've had a good weekend. I'm getting used to this sort of few days of recharging the batteries. It's good, although it doesn't take too long for me to really miss Miami Heat basketball again, which is sort of at the stage I'm at. So, yeah, good to have you along. And Bilal Monar, how are you, my man?
I'm good. I'm same with Ollie. I enjoyed it last time. I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, come on, Bilal. Where's the snacks this time, man?
Sorry?
Where's the snacks, Bilal?
Absolutely, yes. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, please get involved. You can add in the comments. We will feature the comments. Obviously, this will be going on the podcast catalogue. If you're watching on Twitter on the live feed, hello, thank you for watching. If you want to get involved in the comments, hop over to Miami Heat UK TV and we will feature it. Right, guys, so this is how it'll go work again. Actually, before we get onto it, let's take care of a bit of breaking news about an hour or so ago, and that's that former Heat legend Goran Dragic has agreed to join the Brooklyn Nets. My take on this, which I think is pretty much what the majority of Heat Twitter are feeling, is that, okay, he's joined a rival, but if it was going to be anybody, probably better Brooklyn than the Bucks, which is the other team that I think was quite in heavy negotiations. I'm in that sort of poll. I think the Bucks could have done with him. I think they're quite light on guard backup. So I think he would have had an important role. I think he would have molded nicely into Milwaukee. So he goes over to Brooklyn. It helps their cause as well. Very quickly around the table. Bilal, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Even if he's going to the Nets, I think it's a dangerous move. Personally, I would have wanted him out of the whole conference. I wanted him to go to somewhere like Dallas, who's not really, I would say, a main contender, because we don't know what condition Dragic is going to come back physically or mentally. He's had about 6 months basically of not playing no basketball. So if the Nets get a good Goran Dragic, then it could be a problem. But yeah, like you said, it's better than the Bucks.
I agree with you. I think if he comes back and he shows even half the form that he was in the last time we saw him in real true Heat form, which is of course that bubble run, then they've got a great player there. And I think Glenn, Bilal sort of nailed it a little bit there. If we was going to choose a team for Goran to be on, it would probably have been the Dallas Mavericks, wouldn't it? I think we would have all liked to have seen him be out of the Eastern Conference, but B, to be sort of reunited with his fellow countrymen. With Luka Doncic, would you have been happier to have seen that happen?
100%. Yeah, it's always nice to see that link up. Would have been brilliant to see, with one of them coming to the end of their careers and one of them very much just still starting his in reality, because I think we all forget how young he is. But Bilal touched on it there. He's played more pickup games in Miami YMCAs in the last 6 months than he has NBA games. So he's always going to be do or die to the end of the day. It's sad it's the Nets, but in reality, do I think it's going to make that much difference? I hope not. So we'll see. I wish him the best of luck nonetheless. I love the guy.
Yeah, of course. No ill feeling at all towards wherever he chose. It gives him a great shout, a great chance there to go and win a ring. Miami will, of course, have something to do with that. Ollie, do you think there was any real chance? There was a lot of hope trafficking that maybe the Heat could go and offer him that maybe 14th or 15th man on the roster just to bring him back, maybe to play a few minutes and have some form of contribution. By all accounts, by the people that are in the know, there was zero interest really from the Miami Heat prospect. But do you think that if it would have gone much further, that we would have got in the discussion there?
I don't know. I trust the people making the decisions. I think any return for him, it would have been brilliant from a sentimental point of view, but I think that would have been it really. From a basketball perspective, yeah, I can't see him of playing that many minutes, especially if Oladipo is going to be coming back soon. As we know, rosters tend to shrink in the playoffs, so yeah, I think a shortened roster, he probably wouldn't have seen a lot of minutes, and it would have just been for that sentimental factor. So, yeah, good luck to him, Brooklyn. If Miami aren't the ones to make it to the finals, then I hope he wins a ring because he deserves it. He's had a great career and he should deserve it. So, yeah, best of luck to him. But if we face them, then not in those 7 games.
Yeah, well, Heat in 5, absolutely. I think that it's one of those, isn't it? I think. I don't think we covered it on one of the last streams that the Heat the Goran Dragic on the Heat is just something we don't need right now. We're very, very protected in the guard roles. We've got Oladipo to come back to, but from just sentimental and a veteran presence and leadership point of view, I would have taken it all day long. I think we all would have done. But there he goes, off to Brooklyn. But yeah, Heat in 5. Anyway, on we go with today's episode, roundtable questions. So just a quick recap of what we're doing here. Each of us will ask a question to the other 3, which we will go around in a circle and answer them all individually. And I shall start, guys. So are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, so my question, considering as though we was just finishing All-Star break, is if you had to pick one of the current All-Star crop of players that we've just seen, who would you pick on that crop to join the Miami Heat in terms of a best fit? Now, ignore everything. Ignore who the best player is in the world, who you think that, ignore cap implications, ignore who would have to go the other way. I'm not talking about any of that. The current Heat team as they are, you can pluck one player out of that All-Star crop to join the Heat right now in terms of a fit. Who do you think will be best? We will go around on my screen here in clockwise fashion, which means Ollie Rahimi, you're up first. Answer that question.
Okay. So before I give my answer on that, on which All-Star I take, I want to mention that I think the current Heat starting 5 is 80% perfect. So in my opinion, there are 4 roles out of the 5 in the Miami Heat starting 5 that are a 100% perfect fit. And I think the only non-perfect fit is at the shooting guard spot, which is obviously at the moment occupied by Duncan Robinson. I'm not saying that he's not a great fit, because he is, and he really complements this team well. But I think he's maybe not a perfect fit to go alongside the stars like a PJ Tucker is, for example, who is the perfect fit in that role. So given that, I think there is one obvious name to go into that shooting guard spot, and it's probably not going to come as much of a surprise. I know the Heat really like him anyway. He's the Miami Heat darling. He's a mini D Wade. So I'm going to have to say Donovan Mitchell. I love him. His game is so wonderfully well-rounded and it's complete. Despite being only 25 years old, his age and his ability lines up perfectly with this win now mentality that Miami has. But also it lines up with Bam, and they are both 25. They could both be a cornerstone for the franchise for many, many years to come, with Spo and Pat Riley running the show. But like I said, as well as the future, he's also in win now mode, because you've got the likes of Lowry and Butler and Tucker, who aren't getting any younger, and they are in win now. So that friendship with Bam as well, I'd love to see that prosper even more. He's not hidden the fact that he's a big D Wade fan. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wade's movement into ownership in Utah is part of a bigger play to get someone like Donovan Mitchell to Miami, because we all know that I think D Wade's going to end up with some sort of ownership role in the Heat, hopefully. And he's had, Donovan Mitchell's had Wade in his ear for a year, 2 years now, relaying to him how good Miami is, Heat culture, all of that. So, there's reports as well that he might want to look out in the summer. And it was Miami and New York that he had cited as his top picks. I think to be honest, I think New York's name has been thrown in that, so it's not that obvious. Basically, to shelve any talk of tampering, basically, which might be tricky in terms of contract wise. But I think Duncan's contract, a potential sign and trade for Oladipo, depending on his bird rights, and now we've got those 2 first round draft picks in 22 and 23. You know, if we did some sort of deal with Utah that we could pick their selection this year and then give them the 23 pick, that might work. So yeah, I think Wade would try and engineer the move. I think we'd all love to see Donovan Mitchell in South Beach. So yeah, that would be my take. Donovan Mitchell.
Pushing the agenda, you love to see it. Yes, unbelievable. Yeah, that would be a dream. I think that you've nailed that, absolutely nailed that. Very quickly, Ollie, without analysis, you could do maybe a 1 sentence if you like. But who would be 2 and 3 on your list there?
2, Devin Booker. 3, Luka.
Oh, love it. Okay, yeah, not bad. I mean, you know, any of those three, they do, wouldn't they? They do. Great answer, mate. I love the analysis, the thought process behind it. A lot of incredible names. I mean, look, we're talking about the best basketball players in the world, but Donovan Mitchell is the name that Ollie Rahimi would put on the Heat in terms of the best fit right now. Glenn Smith, over to you. Same question.
At the risk of not adding to a general monopoly here, I'll pick a different man to who I'd originally selected, which would have been Donovan Mitchell. There's a strong case in me in who was my second position for LaMelo Ball of the Hornets. I think, as Ollie was alluding to, you've got a lot of players in the Heat who win now mode perfect, but in terms of setting a franchise alight in the future, Kyle Lowry's not that guy. He's not getting any younger in the slightest. I think he's actually the oldest of all the 3 that you mentioned there, in PJ, Jimmy, and himself. And I think that the combination of LaMelo Ball and Bam would be something I'd be incredibly interested to see. I think he adds a huge 3-point threat, which again maybe allows you to move Tyler back up to the shooting guard spot in a starting role and not have to put as much pressure on Duncan. His athleticism is outrageous. I remember I was lucky enough to see him when he was playing for BC Vitautas and he played against London. Lucky enough to catch that game, and even at his age there of 15 or 16, whatever it was outrageous to see. His court vision's fantastic, so you're going to get that passing that you get from Kyle and everything at the moment, and I think he fits very well. Yeah, he might shoot the ball a little bit too much, and there's the whole baggage that comes with his dad and the rest of the family and everything as such, but I see him having a future that is very much up there with the likes of other players that we've mentioned as future greats of Luka Doncic. Trey's definitely got to be up there. He has the ability to push towards the like of a Steph Curry with more athleticism and a bit less 3-point shooting ability. So that would be my pick, considering, as I say, I don't want to add too much onto the bandwagon there.
I think that there's players in this league that are genuinely get your ass off your seat players, incredibly, you know, raw, young, fearless, exciting. LaMelo Ball is 100% all of those. I think maybe that there'll be a case that apart from perhaps Ja Morant, there's no other player that gets you as excited and to watch, because there's better players than him in the league. Of course, he's young. He's got all of his career in front of him, but already we're seeing, you know, the confidence, the arrogance, the swagger. They'd be able to just try whatever you want, knowing that the likelihood is that it's going to come off. And they're really, really exciting players. They're everybody's favourite players to watch. So that's a really good shout. Again, quickly, 2 and 3 from you.
Donovan and Doncic.
Nice. Okay, like it. Bilal, good choices so far. What you got?
I'm going in a completely different direction to
Okay.
what Ollie and Glenn's gone through. I'm going with Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay.
So
the best player in the world, probably. So
exactly, best player in the world, and you put him in with this Heat team. You move Jimmy down to the 2, put KD at the 3, with PJ and Bam up front. People are gonna start building dynasties to fight our team. They're gonna build super teams to try and face this team, because KD can do literally everything which our players currently have. If he fits in as a scorer, as a closer, I don't see anyone coming close to beating us or competing even against us. We'll blow every team off the floor. We'll be like the Golden State Warriors between 2016 onwards, honestly.
Yeah, it's very difficult to argue the fact that you put on a player that can literally do everything. You know, he can win the game on his own. He can get a bucket. He can defend. He's an underrated defender. He's a good defender. You know, his size, he can just shoot over anybody without even jumping. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to look past Kevin Durant. So yeah, it's difficult to argue against that choice.
Not only we're gonna blow teams off, who is gonna score against that lineup?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, your second and third choice.
So my second and third choice is second will be Devin Booker, and third choice I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum.
Like it. Good choosing. Okay, well this is good. You know, 3 different choices, all right. And round to me to finish off. Again, I'm going with a different player. I'm going with. I think it's almost criminal that if all 4 of us went by it and didn't choose Giannis Antetokounmpo, it would be a little bit shocking. So I am going to pick Giannis. Not because I particularly like his style. I think that he's almost one of those players that I don't actually enjoy to watch so much. But what you can't do is ignore probably the most unstoppable player in the league, because how do you stop? You can't stop him. How do you stop him? If you put him at the 4, it's harsh on PJ, but you know, with him getting older, again, this bit like Olly, what Olly was saying, this lines up with the Bam timeline. You know, Kyle Lowry not getting any younger either. I think that with Jimmy in his prime right now, Bam at the same sort of age as Giannis, him at the 4, powering through. As I said, I don't see. I mean, how again, similar sort of thing. We're repeating ourselves a little bit, but you don't stop that team. They're covered in every area in terms of you now having a double MVP, reigning defensive player of the year, etc. To that roster. Wow. I mean, I don't think there's anything that needs to be said more than adding the world champion in Giannis Antetokounmpo to that team. In my terms of my 2 and 3, I was actually very close to picking Joel Embiid, and that would actually allow then Bam maybe to switch to the 4, which a lot of people are anchoring for, to then put Joel next to him at the 5 as a stretch 5 who can rebound, who can do everything. Let's be honest, he's playing MVP basketball. He is the MVP this year, in my opinion. I think that would have been a really good shout as well. I very nearly pipped Giannis with Joel, and of course third, just to push the agenda a little bit more, it would have been Donovan Mitchell, of course. But there we go. Good answers to a good question there. Any one of those would do. Any one of those. Get on the case, Pat. Get on the case. Right, guys. Over to you, Olly. Your question, please.
Yeah. So mine's a little bit different, a little bit more simple, maybe. So the Heat at the moment are 38 and 21 with 23 regular season games left. How many wins? It's a multiple choice answer. How many wins do you see Miami ending this regular season with? And then kind of a follow up. Where is the Heat likely to seed? So are they going to end up with 57 or more wins? Is it going to be sort of between 52 and 56, between 48 and 52, or 47 and below?
Okay. Going round in the circle again. Glenn, you're up first.
Yeah, so I've gone with the not conservative, but I'm not going to put us right over at 57 plus. I've gone with I'll go with the lower end of the 52 to 56 bracket. I think that mainly because when it comes to the back end of the season, I mean, it's a little bit different in the East just this year with how tight everything is. But normally you get the odd couple of games where we're resting people or other teams are resting people. So that could skew it off a little bit. But in general, I think we're good to go for 2 wins out of every 3 games to end the season. I think that's a strong way to finish it off. I don't think you can complain if you've got Depot taking some minutes in there and taking his time to get back. And albeit, yeah, if you put him in front of some backups like Gabe for a while and it costs you a game every once now and then because he's not sharp, it is what it is. You'd rather have him get those minutes under his belt and push forward. In terms of a seeding thing, I think anything falling short of the 4 mark is depressing, quite frankly, at this point. But I can strongly see us between the 1 through 3. I think that, again, anywhere in there, keeping home court advantage going forward. I'm not worried necessarily about dodging any particular teams because if you're the team that's going to win it all, you've got to beat the best to win it anyway. It's all well and good trying to pick, if we go for second, then we play 7th, and then you get an easier round in the next one. Either way, you're going to play some fantastic teams, some fantastic players, and it comes down to the fact that we need to be ready for anyone. And anywhere between 1 through 3, and I go 50, call it 54 games on the win column.
Okay, yep, good shout. 54 is seems fair. And yeah, anywhere between 1 through 4. Yeah, I agree with you. I think if it wasn't a home court seed at this stage of the season now, especially with what's coming up, yeah, I think that might be a little bit of a disappointment. But Bilal, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree in some part with Glenn. I think we're gonna go between the 52 to 56 part. I would say 55 wins. Um, I saw that we have one of the easiest schedules, and we have a lot of home games, which we are really strong on. And also, Miami, historically, we always push hard after the All Star break. So I feel like we're going to get 55 wins, and I'm backing us for the first seed.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yes, I'm sort of aligned with you. I think 55 is realistic. I think 57 plus now would mean we'd probably only be allowed to drop 4 games if my maths is right, which I think is a push. Just to let you know, with 23 games left, 15 are at home, 8 away. 5 back-to-backs though, still to come, which is tough going. I know only 23 games left, but 5 back-to-backs. I think if you can get through that at 55 wins at this stage, I think that's pretty good going. The next 6 are probably going to be maybe a little bit influential with this, because after going to MSG to play the Knicks and then the Spurs, which you probably expect to take both of those, it then goes Bulls, Bucks, Nets, Sixers, and we don't know what the sort of schedules in terms of player availability will be like. The Nets could be angling for some players to be back in the rotation by then. James Harden should be in the Sixers rotation by the time we meet. The Bulls should be a little bit back at full, not quite at full health, but be looking to add players back as well. And they are pushing us for the 1 seed. So that will be an extremely exciting game. So I think, yeah, 55 is achievable. I think anything more than that, you've got to say absolutely hats off to everyone for getting there. But I firmly believe that this team now will be going guns out for the 1 seed. I think that they won't be. I agree with what Glenn said, that yeah, you don't really want to be looking at, wherever you finish top 4. I will try and meet this seed in to match up with these guys. That won't come into their mindset, but I think that with the Heat being so dominant at home, to get that 1 seed and then guarantee the home seed throughout the playoffs, I think will be really on their mind right now. And it could go wrong. That could age really badly, considering we're literally only 2.5 games away from the 4 seed. That's how tight the East is. But I think that with that scheduling coming up, with so many home games left, the Heat will be going all out to get that 1 seed. So I'm saying 55 wins and the 1 seed. Ollie, your question? What's your answer?
Yeah, I think what you've said, Dan, is pretty much nailed on. I think with how volatile and interchangeable the East has been this year, I think anywhere sort of 52, maybe 53 wins and up would probably get you the 1 seed. Just because so many teams are dropping games that they should be winning. I know the Sixers are obviously going to be good now, and it might take them a couple of weeks maybe to get fully healthy, get adjusted, and get acclimatized to each other. So yeah, I think I'm in that 52 to 56 win bracket as well. I think if we can float a couple of games above 500 for the rest of the season as the bare minimum, I'm expecting us to do more, but I think as the bare minimum, if we can get around that area, then we should be comfortable for the 1 seed. And yeah, hopefully we can just ride it out. Like Bilal said, we tend to be better after the All-Star break. So if we can come out strong, we've got a lot of games at home, really assert that sort of dominance that we've had at home so far this season, then yeah, hopefully we will be in the 1 seed.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing here across the board, not just from Miami's point of view, but you want to see everybody now getting back to full health for a fully healthy playoff run, because that's what we want to see. We want to see the best players playing the best players, all at full health for a really exciting postseason. So we'll see what happens. Good question. We're all aligned. We all think that the Heat are going to be somewhere in between that 52 and 56 win column. Glenn, what was your question, mate?
I went with another All-Star related question. Considering we've probably seen one of the worst dunk contests in recent history, it might as well have been a layup contest at parts. And considering both on the 3-point percentage side of things and the 3-point scoring numbers, you had 3 out of those 5 guys on each side of it. Just weren't invited, didn't want to go to the 3-point contest. How could you improve All-Star Saturday to make it great again?
Okay, good question. Bilal, what do you think? Over to you first.
First of all, I would agree that was one of the worst dunk contests that I've ever seen. But I would say make new games. For example, I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying a one-on-one tournament, and I think that would be amazing to see. That would be really entertaining. But obviously, I can understand a lot of players might not want that to be embarrassed or maybe to pick up an injury because it is more of a tense kind of game. But I would say a one-on-one tournament would be good. And yeah, the 3-point contest, I would keep it, and I would, if it doesn't change, I will make the 3-point contest the main event because the dunk contest definitely is not a main event at the moment.
Yeah, the thing is, sort of following on from that, and again, I agree. It was a terrible dunk contest. It was a bad All Star weekend, really. I've never been a big All Star fan. I don't watch the actual game. I don't think I've ever watched a game. I watched the highlights, but I've always been quite interested in the Saturday because I think it is something different and enjoyable. But yeah, I think that the thing is with the dunk contest, which is supposed to be like the highlight, the level has been so good over the years that it gets to a point where you feel like, well, what else can they do? You know, they try and get it's more gimmicky. You've had people bringing out, cars and trying to dunk over them and dunk over the mascot, dunk over Taco Fall. Well, attempt to dunk over Taco Fall. So and it gets to that point where, what more? What we're doing is seeing the same regurgitated dunks happen, and in this occasion, it didn't happen. I thought the cast was quite poor. There was no real sort of headliner to take over from that spot. I think the only way maybe that we can improve it, and Bilal, I like that shout. I think a 3-on-3 would be really good, or 1-on-1 would be really good. I just think that the only way maybe to keep this happening, and I do enjoy the content, I enjoy the skills competition, the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, but maybe to make it compulsory. And I don't know how you would do that, but you want the best players. So you want the top. If you're a top 5 shooter in the league in terms of percentage, you're obliged to go. A bit like Spoelstra is obliged to go because he's top of the East, as is the Suns head coach. Make that maybe a bit more in the rules. And I know that might be tricky because people are always going to worry about their stars getting injured, etc., especially when it comes to a dunk contest. But when you look at that lineup that we saw in the dunk, it was underwhelming. And I think the only way that maybe you can make this happen is if you make it obligatory. And I don't know how you would do it. But apart from that, I don't know. It's a tough one because I think that the idea is right. I enjoy it all, but it's only going to happen if you get the best product on court. And that's by bringing the best players along. Olly, what do you think?
Yeah, so I actually had 2 ideas on this. One of which, Bilal, is the 1-on-1 as well. So I think, yeah, so a 1-on-1 tournament. I know Tracy McGrady has brought this up a little bit recently, and he's actually launched a nationwide tournament in the USA with a hell of a lot of prize money for the winner. I think a similar sort of format at All-Star Weekend would be really good to watch. I mean, who wouldn't want to see, for example, LeBron go against KD first to 11, or even like Giannis against Steph? I know it would be a really interesting battle of different styles, but just to see who would come out on top. And I think you could almost maybe have, for example, the top 16 vote getters for All-Star be in a seeded tournament based on their number of votes, and then a knockout competition 1-on-1. And I think, as well as being really entertaining to watch for the fans, there might be some trepidation from some players and maybe some teams more than anything. But I think the players would love it, to be honest, because I think they would get a chance to prove themselves 1-on-1, like mano a mano, no holds barred at all, just to really prove who is the best. And I think the players would love it to have that pride to say, I won 1-on-1 against the best players in the league. I think they'd love that. And I think it would make it even better for us fans to watch as well.
Sorry, go on, carry on.
No, it's right. I've got a second bit, but you carry on.
Okay, I think that it's when you listen to it, and it is a good take, Bilal. I think that when you listen to it like that, you think, it would really excite you, wouldn't it? If you could choose one player from each team that had to go in and you did it just as a straight knockout, like say, first to 10 points 1-on-1, and that winner goes through to the next round. It would be quick. The most you would perform would be like 4 times to get to a final. And it wouldn't even take that long. You could probably, it's probably an hour's worth of, performance there, and you could get it done. It wouldn't take a lot out of the players. I think it's a really good idea. Mate, that'd be exceptional. Yeah, go on. Sorry to be butting.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I think 1-on-1 would be brilliant. The other idea I had, and I've taken this from football, and a lot of football clubs do it, is to have like a legends match. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to see like a bunch of retired guys who are now in their 40s and 50s going against each other? You know, let's get the 2006 Miami Heat with a 40-year-old D Wade, a nearly 50-year-old Shaq against the 2008 Boston Celtics with KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, all in their mid-40s. I mean, you'd have to do some serious negotiating to get those guys to actually play together. But hypothetically, I think it'd be really interesting, you know, just to see, just for a bit of fun, not really any winners and losers and stuff. But, you know, to see something like that would be really cool. A squad of 50, 60-year-old Chicago Bulls from the 90s with Scottie Pippen, MJ, Dennis Rodman. I think it would be great. It'd be really entertaining to watch. Just a bit of an exhibition game, kind of like the celebrity game almost, but just purely based on just legends of the game. Maybe recreate some teams and stuff and add a bit of fun maybe to the Saturday night.
There you go. We have fixed All-Star Weekend. On paper, it sounds fantastic. I think the teams might have a bit to say about the fact that they'd want their players to go hard at each other on a one-on-one, but that's their problem to sort out. We want to see it as us fans. Good question, Glenn. Likes that. Bilal, finish this off.
Okay, so my question was, if Jimmy Butler's 3-point usage, for some reason, has gone up in the last couple of games. Obviously, during the last stretch of the fourth quarter, we haven't been playing well. We haven't been performing our sets. We haven't been playing good defense. So my question is, would you rather Jimmy Butler become a decent enough 3-point shooter throughout the game, or would you rather Jimmy Butler have that impact he had in the bubble in clutch times?
It's a good question, and I think that Jimmy's sort of persistence at the moment on throwing up threes has been quite surprising, quite alarming. It's not something I've enjoyed seeing, even though he did hit, you know, pretty much a game winner last time out. When it's surprising because when you saw him in Philly, that was it. The ball was in his hands to do that exact job, and he was clutch. We've seen it go. So I don't know why it's dropped off so much since he's joined Miami. But if you're asking me, what would I want to see going forward and improved, sort of going back to those Philly days where he could nail those on a regular, or what we saw in the bubble, I would take the bubble every time because, you know, we saw him win games on his own doing that. I think a 3-point shot should always be like it's almost like a play's gone wrong if it ends with a 3-point shot. So it's a high risk shot. I think if you can get Jimmy driving at the basket, 9 times out of 10 he's going to draw contact. He's going to get the bucket. There's a good chance he'll get an and one. He'll get contact. He'll get to the line, or he'll kick it out to somebody with a better shot. I trust Jimmy far more to do that, making the right decision, and pretty much with a game on the line, doing that sort of move than settling for an improved version of what he once was as a 3-point shot. As I said, I'd never like to see a game end that way unless it's really been forced upon you, or of course it is needed to win or tie the game. So I think, as I said, we saw it firsthand in the bubble what he can do against the best player in the world at the time, and came out on top twice on those occasions. So yeah, that would be my shout. Ollie, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think what you said about ending a game on a 3 is not always the best option, especially in the playoffs. I've spoken about it before. Playoff basketball is a lot slower, a lot of half-court set orientated basketball. So yeah, like you said, to end a possession on a 3 in the playoffs is probably not a good look, especially later on in games. So yeah, my opinion would be to take Jimmy Butler, clutch Jimmy Butler, Rachel Nichols version of Jimmy Butler, to get, as you know, we've got a team full of guys that are brilliant 3-point shooters. You know, Lowry, Tyler, Duncan, even PJ, like those guys can step up in the clutch and hit a 3. We don't have anyone that can replicate what Jimmy can do and did do in the bubble, with getting you a 40-point triple-double, driving to the line relentlessly, repeatedly, just single-handedly, effectively dragging a team to a win in the playoffs. So I think having a bruiser who can, like I said, just get to the line, win you points just by being physical and having that basketball IQ, I think that is a bit more valuable in the playoffs. So as much as I'd like to see a regression from Jimmy in terms of his 3-point shot, I think in terms of value for the Heat, then definitely that bubble level of production from him.
Yeah, and as I said, we've seen it for the Sixers. He was clutch, and he is clutch. To come back to that would be awesome. But unless you name Steph Curry, really, as you say, I don't think you want to see a game ended on a 3-point attempt. Glenn, try and get through your segment without thinking about Rachel Nichols, Jimmy Butler in the bubble.
I was going to say, I don't want to see anything public or private? Private between Jimmy Butler and Rachel Nichols. That killed me off, man. Jeez. I agree with the general consensus we've seen. I like Bulldozer Butler. I like him getting to the line, doing what Goran also did at the time, because you don't have many of those players in the league who are just a guaranteed either I'm going to give you a really good look at the bucket or I'm going to get fouled. And Bron's sort of that kind of player, and he did incredible stuff for the Heat in that 11-12 season and the 10-11 as well. And again, we kind of saw with him, his 3-point shot wasn't really there when you need it. Led to that famous rebound Bosch back out to Allen sequence. So I'd like him to go to the basket. I think that's where he's going to make his money. That's what he's signed his contract for with us. And you've got your guys out on the edge who can take the threes for you. I think the main thing is don't settle for the three. Make the play either work for someone who's an open 3-point shooter to shoot the three, or take it to the basket and draw the foul either way.
Yep, okay, we are all sort of in sync here. Bilal, your question, your answer to finish off, are you aligned?
Yep, I'm definitely aligned. I can't seem to understand what has happened, because the bubble run was outrageous. Basically, he was so clutch in that bubble run. Even the previous rounds in the conference finals, I remember he got a couple clutch steals. So he does it on the defensive end as well. But I can't seem to understand what's happened this season. So I'm definitely taking that Jimmy Butler again. And if we have that Jimmy Butler again, we will go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's we've only really seen one true sort of version of Jimmy in playoff basketball, because he came to play 100% in that bubble run. He sort of gave up on this Heat team, didn't he, last year? I thought he realised very early, despite this stupidly locked-in comment, that this team really wasn't going to go too far. So I'm really excited to see him now with his team of dogs, to see that reunite again, because if we can get clutch Jimmy back in the playoffs, it's another element to already a very good team. Another brilliant episode of Roundtable discussions there. We will do this again before the season's out, maybe just before playoff time. Always a good laugh. It's always great to hear the comments and answers. Please subscribe to Miami Heat UK TV. Thank you very much for listening. If you've only just come to acknowledge the podcast, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue, because very recently we've had some incredible guests. We had David Ramil from Locked On Heat. We've had Ethan Skolnick from 5 Reasons Sports Network. We had Jeremy Taché from Bally Sports. These are all the last 3 episodes. So great to have those guests on. More will be coming. We'll be back on Friday to preview the Knicks game on the Game Day from the UK pre-game streaming show, as always. Thanks for listening, guys. That was a lot of fun. We'll catch you next week. Take it easy.